When do you think the draft will really start this year?
Well, I think in this case, the overwhelming consensus number one overall pick is Fernando Mendoza. After that, then you bring in Arvell Reese, a bunch of other guys who could be two. Where does Caleb Downs go for me? It's usually after the first surprise happens. So if the Raiders go off script, which it's the Raiders, so they might, to me it always starts, when does that first pick that shouldn't have happen? So in this one, I don't get a clear consensus that 1 through 5 is a lock. After 1, yes. But I'm really fascinated to see what happens with 2 through 6, and especially now with Cincinnati surprising everybody and going to get Dexter Lawrence from the Giants. How does that change what New York wants to do? And specifically, my favorite player in the draft, Reuben Bain. So in this draft, I'm looking at 2. It starts with me at number 2.
All right, Mac, way to get us out of the box. So, Coach, I want to bring you in now because I know you've been looking at these players a lot. When do you think the draft will really start this year? How many picks in? What do you think?
You guys are not going to want to like what I'm saying because it's right where the Cowboys pick at 12. Because I'm going to tell you, I think there's a fine line between true first-round grades and then a little drop-off. And I'm not really crazy about the drop-off. I think right with the – and I'm not trying to get on here and, give a flair for the obvious, but I think there's 10, 11 true first-round grades. And where the Cowboys pick right at 12, there might be a little drop-off. So Cowboys fans, don't get too excited about a little bit of a drop-off there because I think it's true first-round grades. There's only 11 of those guys.
Yeah, Coach, thanks so much. I do want to delve more into that, but put a pin in that just for a minute. Jonah looking resplendent in his blue. What do you think? When do you think this draft will really get cooking?
For a second, I thought Stretch was just going to go full homer there. And it's like the draft starts when the Cowboys are on the clock. But I do tend to agree. I think there's probably maybe 14, 15 guys that are, truly deserving of, maybe a first round grade this year. But for me, it's when Jeremiah Love goes off the board, because there's maybe 3, 4 teams in that top 10 that could go after the running back from Notre Dame. And there would likely be a domino effect there because that, the top 10 looks like it's going to be very defense heavy. Where does Jeremiah Love go? Where does Carnell Tate go? And how does that have kind of a ripple effect, especially as it leads to the Cowboys at number 12, which, you would more than likely believe would be a defensive selection?
Well, listen, I think each year, if you just kind of had to put an overall number on it, the average is, let's say, 14 to 18 first-round grades in just a run-of-the-mill draft year. That's kind of what you would expect. And I do believe there are fewer than that in this draft, and that's why I think it is going to be difficult to follow. I think the Cowboys are absolutely going to have to be really nimble in terms of how they follow this draft, and that draft board better be ready to go with a lot of different scenarios, and that includes trying to move up in case one of those impact players, Coach, like you alluded to, isn't available on the board. So with that being said, what do you think the Cowboys can do? Do you think there will be any of those impact players left when they get on the board, Coach? From what you said before, you alluded to it, it doesn't sound like it if the draft goes as you expect.
No, I think they're going to try to move up. If I had to bet where we sit today on Sunday night, 4 days before this, I think they're going to try to move up. Now, if they can't move up, they're going to be like a lot of other teams trying to move back. And I think that because of what I said, that when you only have that many first-round picks, you're going to see a lot of good football players, in my mind, 35 to 105. And I mean good players in that pool are what you would say fishing in that pond. And I believe there'll be a lot of teams that will try to get as many picks in that area as they can get. So with that being said, you have 5 teams now that have 2 picks in the first round. I think there's going to be a lot of jockeying. I think there's going to be a bunch of just a bevy of trades in this first round. Not only with people trying to get up, but with people trying to get back.
Mac, what do you think? I mean, when you think about some of the names that have been associated with the Cowboys, you keep hearing Caleb Downs. He gets mocked a ton. And Who knows if he's still going to be there? You think about Monsieur Delane from LSU. He's been mocked a lot. Do you think those players end up falling to him, or do they have to get creative like Coach was alluding to? What's your take?
You know, one position this team has historically always veered away from in the first round is a safety. Now, if you're going to be a first round pick as a safety, you better be a slam dunk. And they've always run from that. That's the first round, to spend a first round pick on a safety for this team. They haven't done it since Roy Williams, and that was 2002 or 1. I'm not sure which season it was. And obviously, Roy turned out to be a great player. But ever since then, they've always done mid to late round players for safeties. To me, it has been an enormous problem for this team to find somebody who can control the middle of the field defensively from the backside. They really haven't had that. They've had okay players back there, but no one really that special. And I think if they want to get somebody that special, like Caleb Downs, they're going to have to do like Stretch recommended, which is to get creative and to get into the top 5, because I don't see him falling out of the top 5. Now, if they don't want it, there's holes all over that defense. So if they made the decision, okay, we cannot invest that much draft capital into one position, which would make sense, then the guy that I keep seeing is Sonny Styles, the linebacker at Ohio State. So if they decide not to trade out of their picks, Sonny Styles makes sense. It's a hell of a player at Ohio State. And the other one is Reuben Baines, teammate at Miami, and Akeem Messidor, defensive end. I think those are guys that you're looking at. We need talent to upgrade that front 7, because that front 7 didn't do enough even after they got Quinnen Williams. So they've got to go heavy draft defense in the first round, like they did when they drafted Marcus Spears and DeMarcus Ware. That worked out pretty good. Now, those were super talented guys, but I could see them potentially going that route if they feel like moving up to get Caleb Downs is too expensive.